Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Happy Wednesday. Depends when you're watching. This is Tamara Grand. I am here with my co-host Barbara Reed, or at least I will be in just a second, for this week's episode of No Brush Required. Barb, come on now.
I'm in a different space again today. It was that last minute change because the computer scientist is in the other room making a lot of noise on a loud call.
Who is?
My oldest son, he's working from home, right? He's got this job now. It's great. It's great. It's working from home, but
Oh,
they do
good.
have these meetings constantly, and he's right next to me, and he talks really, really loud.
They all do.
So,
We have construction going on full throttle. I
oh,
don't know if you can hear it.
I can't. It's just a little hum. Hey, Christina, how is everybody this morning?
We have a beautiful day out. As soon as this is over, I am going out to our balcony with a book. Actually, this book.
Yes.
And I'm going to read as much as I can before I fall into a nice snoozy nap.
Well, I am drinking hot tea and I'm bundled up and I'm not going to be sitting outside because it's cold as
Oh,
out here
rhymes
today
with a
for,
duck.
yes. It's really cold for a June morning.
Oh gosh, it is.
Surprising.
It's gorgeous. We've had the most beautiful days. No humidity. Just perfect, right, Brenda?
Hi,
She's
Brenda.
close.
I got up this morning. I came downstairs. My husband had the fireplace on.
Oh my gosh,
It was
that's so
60,
weird.
63. We go Fahrenheit on the fireplace remote control. 63 this morning in the house, which is a little chilly.
That is a wee
So,
bit chilly. Well, my
yeah.
other sister, Jan, is here from Victoria. So this is probably going to feel like a heat wave for her.
Probably. And then she's got to come
Like
back here
freaking
to January.
January. Yeah. So no, I'm loving this. This to me is perfect. I don't even
Oh,
think we have
that's
our air
great.
on right now. It's just lovely breezes off the lake. Good
Oh, good morning,
morning,
Douglas.
Douglas.
So I don't know if you saw what book I got yesterday in the mail that
Oh, yes, I
it's
did.
not a reading book.
Picture book. Yay. Oh, now I feel like I should have got one
Mm,
too.
you know what? It's like I feel like this is a step up because I've been seeing this is Rob Zott's Loud Love catalog for his show in San Francisco right now. Is it San Francisco? Yes, right. Um, I don't know.
Sure it
It's in
is.
California. It's in California. But after seeing people's art, his art on a little screen, and now seeing it on like, this is 8.5 by 11, it's going to be a nice step up for when we actually see it ginormous on the
I
wall.
can't wait. I can't wait. I
Oh,
want to like touch it. I hope I don't get thrown out, but I am going to touch it.
yeah. Okay.
That's just me.
You're on record. We're on record.
Yeah.
Barb is going
Bring
to
bail
touch the
money.
art.
Bring bail money. Oh, okay. Since we're showing off new books, I just got this one. I know it's backwards. It's called Color, a workshop for artists and designers. And I think it's the third edition. So that means there's a first and second. And it's
Tell
just
me
looks
again the
really
subtitle. Tell me the subtitle again.
a workshop for artists and designers by
Okay.
David Hornung. 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 I
H O
saw it in
R N U N G. Okay.
yeah, I saw it in another artist's feed, and I just thought, oh my god, this looks like one of those books that's going to be really really useful. I guess there's lessons and things you can follow, and it's a deep dive into color. It's got pretty pictures. Like,
Sometimes it's just so nice to sit and look through things like that. It's different than seeing art on Instagram or going and watching a
mhm,
YouTube video. Just,
mhm,
that tactile, the sense of reading and looking at the same time. I find
mhm.
it quite energizing.
Yeah, it actually I just flipped to a page. It reminds me of a color theory course I took in my first year at Parsons, and we used I can't remember the name of this paper, but the paper came. It already it was a colored paper, and we like would cut these things out and glue them down with rubber cement, and we'd get these assignments like, okay, take the dark color and put something around it so that it looks like the lighter color that's next to it, even though they're not the same. So you were doing all
Right.
these really interesting color exercises, changing the value just by putting a different color near it, giving the illusion of something else. So
Very Rothko.
Yes, very Roscoe. Very Roscoe. So anyways, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be,
That's great.
maybe I'll take that out to the balcony with me too.
That sounds perfect. All right, so today we have a guest on, and she's coming back for the second time. It's Lisa Woodward, and most of you guys will know her because she comes on the show regularly and comments and shares. And she's a Canadian artist living in Ottawa. And I'm just going to find her. Whoops, that's the wrong button. And you guys will have a chance to ask questions of her later as we go. Here she is. And she should be, oh, I hear your construction now.
Yeah, I think that's a jackhammer.
Okay. Well, it's probably louder on your end than it is here.
It is, definitely. The only time we get total quiet is at from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. out there. Oh. And then in the evening, of course.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Lisa, in a dark room. Really dark room.
Okay. Hey!
Oh, there you are. Sometimes it's a matter of just turning that camera around. You never know where it's aimed, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How are you?
Hi, guys. How are you?
Hi.
That book you got, the book you got, Barb Reed, about color, I've had it for a while, and it really, really helped me get my head around some of the stuff, particularly around saturation, how to use that in your work. Yeah, it's a good book.
Yeah,
great.
That's a good topic.
2 thumbs up now, so I need to add it to my library, clearly.
Yeah.
Sounds
good,
great.
good. Well, you're wearing color. I should have put something bright on. Oh, I have to, because it looks great on you. So
thank you. It's hot here today. That's why I went for it.
Yeah,
finally.
So you're in Ottawa?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how hot it is, but it's better, I think, than Vancouver.
Well, yeah, you already heard me complain about the weather. I like to do that a lot.
Well, we all do that. This is what we discuss. And I ride an elevator at least 2 or 3 times a day, and that's what we talk about in the elevator ride on the way down. Always
very Canadian.
It's totally
very Canadian.
Yeah. So we're really looking forward to catching up with you because it's been a while.
Okay. Yeah. Like, I think I was probably on one of your first episodes, and you're at 38 or 39 now. So
almost
a long time.
We're coming up to our anniversary.
You were way back in the day.
Wow.
I know. We did take some time off in there too, but yeah, it's almost a year. July something.
It is
right?
mid-July. I think we'll have like a show mid-July that'll be our 1-year anniversary.
Oh,
okay,
man.
I got to ask you before we get into art stuff. Have you ever done the whitewater rafting with
Yes.
I'm doing it in like 3 weeks. Okay. Oh, you made a face.
Who made a face? Did I make a face?
You made a face. Yes.
Yeah. Are you doing it up the Ottawa River?
Yeah, with Owl.
Yeah, you'll be fine. I did it in Costa Rica, and I was not fine. That's why I made a face. It triggered a memory, but I think the Owl is a different level in terms of safety.
Okay, good. Well, I mean, I've only read good things about them. Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You didn't end up like overturned with like the raft on top of you, did you? Oh, you did.
The raft wasn't on top of us, but I went into the water in class 3 rapids and got sucked under against some rocks. And it took me quite a while to get back up to the surface. I really thought it was all done.
Okay, that's awful. That's awful.
Yeah,
And we're not doing that. We're doing, I know there's like the intense level, and then there's like the just floating on an inner tube level. We're not doing that. We're like doing sort of the medium.
Yeah. I've done class 4 on the Nahatlich River. I have friends who own a rafting resort, and for a number of years they would organize a girls' weekend. And every single time I was on that boat, the whole time I would be jamming my leg into the edge and saying to myself, don't fall out, don't fall out, don't fall out, don't fall out. And everybody would be so exhilarated, and I would just be literally praying that I wasn't going to fall out of the boat the entire time. But I felt peer pressure.
Do people fall out?
Yeah,
They
and
do.
the best thing is for this company, they bus you up, and there's a little lake that you put in at the top of. There's a series of 6 or 8 rapids, and the biggest ones are class 4, and they put you out in the water in the lake, and they basically give you the lesson about self-rescuing, and basically telling you that from here on in, if anything happens, you need to be able to self-rescue because no one else is coming back for you. And you're like, okay, did I actually sign that waiver?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm hoping this isn't
You'll
quite
be
like
fine.
that.
You'll be fine.
It won't be, Barb. It won't.
Yeah.
I've never heard of accidents with owl rafting, so.
Okay. If I don't come back, after, I can't remember, we're going around the 7th, I think, of July, something like that.
Right.
But,
Okay.
okay.
We'll stay in touch. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. It won't be.
You'll be fine.
Water levels
I'm a
won't
good
be
swimmer,
that high.
so maybe that'll help. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyways, wanted to get that out of the way. So.
All right. So now that we've got Barb completely terrified, and she's not going to be able to listen to anything what he's saying now. Lisa, I've just been so excited by the work you've been sharing lately. I love that you are going out there and recording your process, and you've been sharing those process videos. I don't know about you guys, but I love watching other people paint.
Yeah, so do I.
Because, when you're in the midst of it yourself, you don't get a sense of what it actually looks like. And even when I've said this to you, I think, Lisa, before, even going back and looking at your own videos, if you videotape yourself, you're like, wow, I had no idea that that's what I was doing. It's really, really interesting. So I'd love
or that feeling, oh, I had no idea that's how I looked. I bumped into somebody at an art festival a few days ago, and she's someone whom I reciprocally follow online, but we've never met in person. And she came up to me and she said, Lisa Woodward? And I turned around and I didn't recognize her. And she said, oh, it's me, so-and-so. We follow each other. Ah, okay. And she says, you look better in person.
Thanks.
Okay, but at least that's better than the other way around.
Yeah, like
that's true,
really
isn't
good
it?
on film.
It's true.
That's funny. Sometimes people, that's a filter thing, right? You think that, but maybe you shouldn't say it. But
I think she meant it in the best way possible, and I wasn't insulted, but I thought, oh man, I wonder how I look online sometimes. A bit unkempt. Anyway, whatever.
There is that, right? And then there's that sense of you watch yourself and you're like, stand up straight. Why am I slouching as I paint?
Stop making faces. I find I make faces sometimes as I'm painting, or hold something in a really awkward manner. It's true. We should film ourselves doing all kinds of things, right? Like cooking.
Yeah, and then we'll send you the videos and you can do the outtakes.
I will critique and do the outtakes. Absolutely. Happy to do it.
Yeah. So Lisa, I don't know if you are able to take us on a bit of a tour of that new work and show us, or if you want to show us where any of it is relative to the last video you shared. Putting you on the spot, and you don't have to. You don't have to.
Yeah, no, I won't, because some of the work I'm doing is for commission, and I haven't shown the clients yet. So I can't really do that. But I would be very happy to tell you something about what's happened in the last few months and how it came about.
Great.
In terms of the catch-up. So you might remember that back in March, I took myself down to the Mexican Highlands to do an in-person workshop with Jane Davies. And that was great. And that was, Jane is really good at helping you really notice what's going on in your work from a compositional point of view. Like really look hard and see and notice your defaults.
Yeah.
The things you do without thinking. Yeah. She wants you to notice them and decide more purposefully, do I like that? Is that exactly how I want it to be anyway? Or, oh, now I see something and I want to change it. Anyway, so that was good from a skill development perspective. But but it didn't necessarily change functionally the way I think about being creative or how I'm creative. The latter happened from another trip I just took going down to Washington and Baltimore. And it was looking at people's art, incredible, incredible art. In Washington, I went to the Hirshhorn Museum. I'd never heard of it, but it is incredible. It tends to be modern art, and I saw a couple of artists, both of whom are very immersive. One is Yayoi, I never say her name right, Yayoi Kasuma. She does extremely immersive work. In this case, she's been for years trying to have you experience the idea of infinity. And so she's created these infinity rooms that you walk into, and you're on your own in there. Like, you get sort of 30 seconds in this room on your own, and it's all mirrors and very colorful objects, and you can see forever because of the mirrors reflecting off one another. It's a very interesting experience. Yeah, and then they had also another immersive type of artist, Laurie Anderson. That's not the singer, though this Laurie Anderson does sing. Yeah. No, Laurie Anderson she's a visual artist, but she also does soundscape, she does movement, she does writing and literature, and she puts them all together. And again, you're walking through rooms where it's multi-sensory stuff going on. So that was, not that I now see myself coming home and doing multi-sensory big installation art, but it just kind of shook up my I don't know, the impact on the senses that I would love to have. And then I went to Baltimore, to the Baltimore Museum of Art, and I saw Joan Mitchell's exhibition.
Yes.
Sort of 1960s and 70s, she was at her peak in abstract expressionism. Absolutely stunning. 70 pieces. Most of them are huge, like they might be 70 feet long or 2 stories tall. So again, you can sort of almost walk into these pieces. They're so big and powerful. And she's into a lot of color field stuff, big color contrasts. And in the end, I came home from those few days just feeling as if there'd been an actual shift in the way I think about creativity and what I want to do. And it is coming out in my work. It's just starting to come out in that I'm using more saturated color than I ever have before, larger shapes, bigger gestures, and it feels really good. And I guess I just wanted to say, it's interesting that I got that from going to see art as opposed to going on a workshop.
Yeah. I hear that distinction, and sometimes that, you've kind of inspired me to get out there and start looking at more art, because we always do kind of default to, I need another workshop, I want to learn about this, but to actually see these pieces, there's no way it couldn't have an impact on what you're doing, just to see the possibilities. And
I think it forces you to problem solve in a different way. So I saw that Bobby Berger's exhibit about a month ago now in Vancouver, and again, really large pieces and lots of contrast between really thick, almost 3-dimensional paint and then thin, watery washes. And if I were to take a workshop on how to make that, I wouldn't have walked away with it thinking about what the elements of it were that I appreciated and how those might translate into my own work, as thinking about it in your own work as opposed to copying a technique.
Yeah. Well, you guys are going to be in New York this fall, and I hope you've got some time in your plans to go to some of the incredible art venues around the city, because
for sure we have almost a week. We have a week.
Got to build that in.
But, I'm going to take you aside. The finals of the U.S. Open are on the 11th.
What?
I didn't realize all these things were happening at the same time.
Okay, you're in New York City.
Whatever, it's okay. Just throwing that out there.
That's okay.
Okay, cut
There's
that.
an
That's
opportunity
presenting.
cost to everything, Tamara, and I
I
think you
know.
know which of these comes first.
Yeah,
I think I
exactly. You
know.
tell
I
her.
think I know. I
You
think I
tell
know.
her. You tell her.
Unless Rafa's in the finals.
I don't even know who
Anyways,
that is.
that's okay. I'm digressing. Lisa, I wanted to circle back because one of the things you said about the Infinity exhibition that you saw.
Mm.
So I can see why that had impact on you. And you've been talking a lot about how to get the feeling of time across in
Yes,
your own paintings. And so
yes,
it's
yeah,
interesting because infinity pools, I think of them as space too, as
Mhm.
well as time, right?
right. That's true. Yeah, time is a really interesting thing. I mean, of time and space, when you work two-dimensionally, painting, space is a little more obvious. You can think of ways to represent or achieve a feeling of spaciousness or feeling cramped. I mean, space is obvious,
Mhm.
but when you want to try to bring the idea of time into two dimensions on a canvas, I didn't find it as immediately easy. And I've been trying to look for shorthands for that. Um, I mean, Tamara, I think you also use slash marks, right?
I do.
Yeah, and
Like
I think
tallies
that's
or
Tallies.
tallies, right? I saw this probably 10 years ago. I went to Ghana uh, on a work trip, and I was taken to see some villages in northern Ghana. And one of the things I learned about was how historically, not currently, people have phones nowadays, but
Mhm.
historically, people would keep track of time, particularly seasons as it related to agriculture, by making
Mhm.
slashes in the wattle on the side uh, of their houses,
Mhm.
and that just made a lot of sense to me in terms of representing time. And I've been making that mark in my pottery for a long time, which I'm not currently doing. But it's only recently occurred to me that I can use that.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know what the word is. I guess symbol or
Mhm.
shorthand
Mhm.
in my art. So that, and then instead of just having thin slashes, I've also been doing rectangles side by side
right.
as another way of thinking about time. And with the rectangles, I can indicate a quality of time that a line doesn't. So a line tells you a quantity, like days, weeks, months.
Mm-hmm.
But with the rectangles, I could talk about time being, positive or negative or difficult or joyful, or just by changing the opacity and the color,
Hmm.
you can bring a sense of quality of time. Anyway,
Well,
I'm probably like blah, 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 a
no,
bit
no,
in
no.
my own head these days, but
Are you thinking about that consciously when you're choosing? Okay, I'm going to choose this color. I'm going to choose this shape, this viscosity of paint because I want it to show that, or is it just kind of happening intuitively as you're thinking about other things? Because it's like you're
it
juggling when you're.
happened. Yeah, no, it happened. It happened by accident in the beginning. I was doing a variation of tone just to add interest,
Mhm.
um, and a variation of opacity, again, to add difference, right?
Mhm.
But then it started occurring to me that the feeling that those were giving was very different. So now, yes, I can decide that this painting is feeling, um, that there's a sense of increasing joy
Mhm.
over time, and I can show that way. Yeah, I can use it as a deliberate
Mhm.
choice. Yeah,
Hmm. That's so
yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
And the other thing that really struck me is watching you recently is I feel like your work you're becoming more bold in your work. So watching the certainty of those brush marks when you're covering things up, going back in
Yeah.
and editing out and covering things up. There's nothing tentative about it. It's very interesting to watch.
Well, I think I could draw a direct line between seeing some of those artists in Washington and Baltimore and feeling emboldened, just feeling this sense of, what does it matter? Why can't I just do what I want to do?
Yeah.
And, be more colorful, be more assertive, put it down, take it off if I don't like it. I mean, intellectually, I've known I could do that for a long time. We all talk to each other and we all say, just go with what you like. You can always change it. I knew that, but I didn't feel that. And I think seeing those artists doing that just completely emboldened me.
And letting things be like that, just letting them be. Like, you do something really energetic on a canvas, and you're thinking, oh, I know I'll cover that up later, but for now I'm just going to do this crazy thing. It's like, why does that happen? That we have to edit it down now, and we have to clean it up, and we can be our own worst enemies, eh? But I can see how you would look at what the abstract expressionists were doing, and I'm sure they're not thinking about that.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not thinking about that at all,
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I make a bold mark on a painting and then immediately wipe it off.
Yes.
Right?
When I should at least give it a day before I decide to wipe it off.
And then the same thing with shapes, right? I mean, there's certain things that I'll do, gestural things that I'll do on a canvas that usually will disappear, and it's like, why does that have to disappear? Why can't that stay?
Well, why does the shape or the line, Tamara, the bold line, why does it even feel like it has to go? So I'm curious, do you look at what you've done and think that doesn't fit? Like from a compositional point of view, I don't like it there, I'll take it out. Or is it an emotional reaction, like, whoa, that's too much?
I think it's the latter, but it's very interesting because I keep telling myself, and if I go through my notes, my journals that I write, I want bigger and bolder and more space, and I want to use bigger materials, and I want to have I want my work to be less full of bitty marks and fewer bigger marks. And then as soon as I make one, I go, oh my God, what did I just do? And I'm not there. I'm not there's that gap between what we want and what we're quite ready to do, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Well, do you also think, as you're doing something, well, this isn't the kind of art that I do. So I better just pull that back. Oh, we have a visitor. That's a first.
I see tail.
He was just at the vet. He's having surgery next week, so he's all mushy right now that he's back. But anyways, sometimes I'll think to myself, oh yeah, just play around. But that's not what you paint. So
no.
And
it's not your art. Or I think the other thing that I'm becoming aware of is our thoughts like, well, that's not me. That's not my personality. And that's not even true. Those thoughts aren't true. They're just like, what do I want to be projecting? Well, I've just done this big, aggressive mark, but I try to be nice in the world, and that just feels emotionally out of sync with who I would like to be. It's so weird. Or, here I am wearing a bright pink shirt, but for years I wore neutrals and black and, just very toned down. Putting bright colors in my art still feels I think it feels loud to me.
It's like putting on a bright lipstick and then going out and like see this red behind me?
Yeah.
I mean, this painting is like, this I keep thinking, well, I can always cover it up with some nice grays. Like, why do I have to do that? And then I've got a very more subdued one going at the same time, and I'm thinking, well, maybe I might just throw some red on that. And it is such a tug of war.
I think there's such an interesting theme here, and I don't want to get into what men think and what women think, but I do feel there's that element of standing up and saying what you want and then apologizing for it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
or
Right.
trying to soften it, right? And I'm speaking
Right.
for myself here now, and I do that. Um, and so I'm just curious. You're making me think maybe that's coming into my work
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Slash of red. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to shout.
Yes.
I can't do that. You know, it's funny because my new favorite painting tool is something I have no control over. So I'm using this. This is my new
Oh,
most favorite painting tool because it's almost like it's like having a sword fight with,
Yeah.
with the canvas. And it does things that I have very little control over. And I can go back in and actually do some drawing with it. I can scrape things off. So I'm really loving what this is kind of doing. A lot of
yeah.
what happened on this panel is because of this gigantic palette knife, but it's so uncomfortable. I don't know. I feel just so, when I look at it and try and assess it, or you know, what do I do next? Which is why this is
Yeah.
sitting here. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
God.
And that is the challenge though too, when you do something like that and you don't cover it up right away and you come back and you're like, I'm not even sure how to assess it.
Yeah, what next?
I'm not sure how to describe it. I'm not sure what to do with it.
Yeah.
I will tell you a little trick that I've been playing with lately that I think
Mhm.
might help me is those art room apps, throwing a 12 by 12 painting in and blowing it up and looking at what it might look like 4 feet by 4 feet, because it gives you a
Right.
totally different sense of that
Mhm.
smaller piece and all its intricacies. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the time of year or this is often when a big shift happens in work, right? When all of a sudden you're feeling just like you gotta do something different. And it's such an interesting thing. I'm glad I'm talking to two other people who are kind of going through
Who
the same,
get it?
or maybe further
Yeah.
ahead. I'm sure you've read Ninth Street Women. Have you read that?
Most
So
of it. I've kind of picked it up and gone
yeah.
back and forth. So
So that's a book. I mean, we're talking about abstract expressionism, and I'm really trying to kind of get into sort of the mindset of these artists, and they're pushing and pulling and doing and go big, like go huge, and working with any material that was available, like
yeah.
not good paints, you know, finding stuff, you know, on the curb that somebody was going to throw out, and just thinking, how freeing would that be? Where you don't have all those constraints.
That's actually a really good segue maybe to the other thing we wanted to talk about, because I kept thinking when I actually listened to that book on Audible. When I was listening to them, what kept striking me was how it was necessary for them to be following their muse without a lot of feedback, certainly without expectation of getting shows or selling their work, because that was very hard for them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, well, some of the women in particular were just not getting shows.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't know that they would have thought at the time, oh, it's so freeing not to have to show and sell my work. But
Right.
They were starving too. Yeah.
Looking back now at that, there is a sense of envy. I think, oh, what would it be like to be just creating your work without expectation necessarily of the audience or the potential buyer or the gallery that you're trying to attract? Mm-hmm. And not also having to spend the time and energy that we put into marketing our work. Mm-hmm. And that's been in my head for a little while. Maybe we can talk about that, all that energy that goes to marketing. And does that feel okay? I'm feeling quite resentful about it at the moment, to be absolutely truthful.
Well, I'm being a bit of a brat, and I'm not doing any of that. I've just decided I'm going to just enjoy myself right now. I didn't post anything today. You know, I posted something yesterday and I thought, no, I don't like it. I deleted it. And I thought,
for you.
I am feeling a bit bratty. Like I want to read. I want to look at things. I want to play with paint. I want to try new materials. I don't, you know, maybe that's temporary, but maybe it's not. Maybe this is just my way of dealing with all the, you know, the pressure to perform, to, you know, get out there, to put something together so others can look at it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind the social media aspect of it in terms of building community and communicating and sharing with people. The thing
Like
that I
this.
find, yes, like this, or,
Yeah.
you know, even posting to Instagram daily or every other day and sharing, because part of it is trying to decide what you want to get out of it. And so if what you want to get out of it is a connection with other people for 15 or 20 minutes a day, then that's great. But if you have expectations of other things coming from it, so say sales or a gallery noticing you, or, you know, a reel going viral or those sorts of things, then it starts to be, you start to feel a little bit more beholden to it and a little bit more
Yeah.
resentful of it.
Resentful.
Yeah. And we talked a little bit about this with Rob last week about, you know, how
Yes.
knowing that you know, when you're making your art, you catch yourself going, oh, this would be a good Instagram post. Well, it's taking you out of your flow. Or even worse, you're working and you're like, none of this can go up on Instagram today. What can I share on Instagram? I mean, certainly it's getting you to think about not just the end product of the finished painting, but what other people are going to think about the finished painting, how it's going to show to the public, who's going to be interested in buying it, what's the best light to show it all in, when you should be in the moment of creating the work.
Well, at the end of the day, like when we're all in our, you know, approaching 100, are you going to look back and go, gee, I did some nice posts on social media? Or
I had a reel that went viral.
I had a reel that did 100,000. Like, or are you going to go, I felt like I'm leaving behind something that has my imprint on it, right? What's more important? Or do you have to do both?
Well, I think one of the I'll let you say something in a minute, Lisa.
Yeah, sorry.
But
One
of the other things that it does is, you know, the whole 140 character way of viewing the world. So now I just took a newsletter writing course, and, you know, the suggestion was to keep your words below 400 words in a newsletter, because people only want things bite-sized. I can't say anything in less than 400 words. But, you know, and keeping your reels now, the idea for video content is 6 to 8 seconds, right? And so, and that's because we're training ourselves to have less attention, and when we have less attention, we can't go deep. And sometimes I feel like that is translating to the things I do offline as well. That, you know, it's harder to sit with an idea for a while and really explore it, because your brain is already off on the next 8-second reel, or, you know, the next headline that's coming through on your email. It's a challenge.
Well, it's the world we live in. I honestly think our brains are being rewired, that we do not have tolerance for, as you say, going deep, that we have such limited attention spans, and it's just being reinforced daily, constantly. And in order for you to kind of pull back from that, you literally have to physically pull back from that. Put your phone away, you know, stare at the clouds for an hour, and just not expect that every single minute has to be whiz bang, you know. Lisa, say something.
Sorry.
You look like you have wisdom to share.
So, Barb, when you said, well, what do you want to remember when you're older? What's important today? I have a question for you. What would happen if you didn't sell another painting?
I would be okay. I actually have thought about that, and I'd be okay, because that's not why I do this. And then I was thinking, so why do I do this? I mean, this wasn't my career. This is my retirement dream, and it's something that, you know, I grew up always wanting. I always felt like I was an artist, right? It makes me happy when my art is out there. So, like, out there, it doesn't necessarily have to sell, but I love knowing that I have pieces here and there all over the place. That to me makes me really happy. It's like a little bit of me is somewhere else in somebody else's world, and they're deriving something from it. So I've made a connection with them. do I need to sell? That'd be nice, because this is like it's a money pit to keep buying art supplies and all that, right?
Yeah,
But it
sure.
also, it is a money pit. So no, my big goal is not, I want gallery representation, I want shows, because I wonder if there's a downside to that too. That you sort of get into this is what the gallery loves, so you need to keep doing more of it. I don't know. I can't say, because I'm not with a gallery.
So it sounds like you have done some thought around why you're painting, and the fact that you do want your work out there is important. So I can see why some marketing would be one method of getting it out there, or giving it away, or finding places for it to be out there. I've actually come to the shocking realization recently that I think the reason I started trying to sell my art had something to do with validation around being an artist. I thought, if I just keep it all here, does that make me a hobbyist? If I don't sell it, how will I know that it's good? There was some, right? There were some early thoughts. Like, I don't know that I necessarily think about it that way now. I have a greater sense of understanding of why I do this, and I don't need that kind of validation to tell me, or that's not the validation I need to know whether my work is getting better. I can see for myself whether that's happening. But I think I didn't revisit those ideas, and so it's only recently I'm thinking, well, do I even want to keep making the effort to sell stuff? I'm not enjoying trying to sell my work. And I don't need to. And what would happen if I just stopped selling? Well, stuff would pile up, so I'd have a problem.
True.
I'd have to figure out whether how to get it out the door. But other than that, there were some positives, like maybe I would be able to get deeper into the flow of what I'm painting without having my time and attention divided. Maybe I would be even freer, not worrying at all anymore what other people might or might not find attractive. So I'm noodling around the idea of maybe taking a significant break from marketing my work, which doesn't mean that I won't share it, because like you, I do like Tamara, I enjoy the interaction. And I feel that's something I can offer to the interaction as opposed to just consuming. But what would happen if I didn't sell it? I have this feeling I might be a lot happier.
Well, that's it. Like, I think the stressful part of all of this comes with all those bad thoughts that creep in if you're not selling. And I have to say, I'm not consciously trying to sell anything right now, but it's the one little niggly thing, in the pit of my stomach that bothers me about this whole artist business. Someone asked me the other day, they said, how's your art business going? And I kind of was like, art business? What do you mean? And that question really caught me off guard. Art business, like, two words, should they even go together? Like, I don't know.
Well, the other thing is, by not marketing your work, you're not saying that you won't sell your work. So if someone sees a piece of yours online that they like, or they come into your house and your studio, you would be willing to offer it to them. But the act of going out and marketing consumes a huge amount of time when you think, you have to, if you're following this idea of, having a collection or a release, then there's the build up to it, and there's the posts around it. And most of us don't do that very well anyways, because we're not marketing experts. And when you follow some of the marketing experts, and they tell you how many touch points you actually need to have with potential clients. And, we do 3 posts and send a newsletter and 1 follow-up, and we're going like, okay, I've said it way too many times now. And then, that sort of plays into our sense of how good we feel about our work and whether things are leaving the studio. But no, I totally agree with you, Lisa.
Yeah, we're not entrepreneurs first and foremost. Most of us, I suspect, are not first and foremost entrepreneurial.
No.
Oh.
Whew, I feel
Will
better.
Instagram let you price your work, or will they kick you off? Of course, Instagram will let you price your work.
Yeah.
You can,
Yeah.
and if you can write it in a post, you can have a shop, which is another question, which I will actually share some thoughts I'm having with you guys about that too. But I have been told, or I have seen, and I don't know if it's really true, but the way that the algorithm works this way, but some people who monitor this on their own posts will tell you that as soon as they include the words available for sale, the reach goes down on their post. Now, I don't know how the algorithm is it searching for that. I don't know. It could be just an urban myth, but I have seen several people who are farther along in terms of sales and using Instagram, Facebook for marketing. That when you mention that, the algorithm does seem to notice it, which makes sense because they want us to pay to promote our work. They want to take money to promote work, right?
Oh yeah.
You've never seen that one, Julie? Right. You've never seen that one? I've seen that. A few people have posted that. So I don't know whether it's true or not. Everybody has these ideas about the algorithm and how it works. Nobody seems to really know except maybe Adam Mosseri. But
Barb, are you coming to the Riverdale? No, you know what? I'm having a girls' weekend. I've been doing a lot of this, hanging with my friends.
Good.
So downtown Burlington has the Sound of Music Festival on this weekend, which is massive. So I'm going to my friend who has a beautiful property in the country and a pool, and we're going to drink wine. And I bought a beach ball, and I'm going to play ball and wear my new bathing suit.
Love it.
That's what I'm doing. So sorry I'm not. But I'll check it out on Instagram.
That sounds like a lot of fun, though.
Yeah. Wow. This is a great conversation. I don't know if we intended to do this, but it's important, I think.
Yeah. No, Lisa and I had talked about bringing up the idea of sales online and marketing and that whole part of that. And you know what? Some people love it.
Yeah.
Some people,
and they're great at
it. They love it. They're great at it. They're thriving. They've made a conscious decision to learn how to do it well. There's that element too, right?
But
it's
also right? Like it's.
Sorry?
Tamara, you've been an entrepreneur or had businesses now, and I would think you're further along that path in terms of having a comfort level with what you're doing and how to do it. And I see that reflected in some of the ways you do market online. You're very good.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if you have a fundamentally different feeling to mine about this whole project of selling your art.
Great question.
It is. And to be honest, I don't like it. I don't like the having to push constantly. And when I was running online fitness businesses, this was 10 years ago, and back then Facebook was just starting to do sponsored posts, and I didn't have a background in marketing. So I had a background in fitness. I knew how to SEO the crap out of my blog posts because I knew exactly who my customer was. It was the over 40 female.
Yeah.
So, I had a bunch of taglines like that if you Googled them, I was the first 3 pages of Google for those for many, many years. Not so easy I find in what I'm doing now, because I have no idea who my ideal collector is, who wants to buy my art. I just, and I've thought about that, and this is a conversation I've had with other people before. This whole idea, whenever you're marketing, is the first thing you need to do is know who you're trying to market to. And you need to actually, for my fitness business, I had a name. I had Doris, and I could tell you about Doris and her family and her kids' names and what they did after school and what her main pain points were and all of those things. And she was who I wrote to. Yeah. I can't do that for art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about
you, Lisa? It feels more like throw spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah. Like, do you know who your collector is?
Not at all.
Okay.
I really don't have a clue. Or let me just say, it would be a very weird composite profile, because there's been quite a bit of diversity in terms of who's, like, I can't say there's a particular demographic.
Yep.
All but one of my buyers have been female, so maybe there's a start.
Yep.
I don't know. But other than that, they've been you know, different walks of life, different
Yeah.
parts of the world, different age groups.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about them because I've never really dug into, for example, are people who buy my work, are they primarily looking for something to decorate an empty space on their wall? Or are they trying to build a collection? Or are they wanting art that reflects something about them? I mean, I don't understand anything about my buyers' motivations, really.
You have to have a lot of data points before you can actually say anything concrete, and that's the other thing. So,
Right.
you know, how long have you been selling? How many pieces have you sold? So for me, it's not been very
Yeah.
long, and it's not enough work to actually be able to, you know, create that sense of what that person looks like.
Yeah. Right. Oh well.
Interesting. Yeah. For me too, I
Yeah.
guess going back to the whole community thing, talking about that art community, I think in my perfect world, there needs to be a community connection to my ideal collector. Like there needs to be something like, okay, going back to that Ukraine fundraiser I did, I felt
Yeah.
like I was making such amazing connections that I couldn't have made any other way. Any other way. So there was a purpose behind selling all that work. There was an excitement building. There was this shared experience. I really
Yeah.
loved that, and to try and figure out how can I get more of that. That might be where I'm happiest, most comfortable marketing, as opposed to, I don't know, just the daily kind of stuff. There needs to be something connected to it.
Right.
But that's an
Yeah.
interesting thought, because that was also a good studio clean out for you. You sold a lot of pieces, like what, over
56
50 pieces,
paintings,
right?
56
And
paintings,
and
56 paintings. Like,
yeah.
and I didn't have to do anything other than, I don't even know how I don't know, but there was a purpose to it. It wasn't just buying art for art's sake, but the buying art was the bonus, right? So I don't know. I have
Mhm.
to think more about that whole experience and
But
really,
maybe that's going forward. Maybe
yeah.
art as a fundraiser, and you keep the portion that covers your costs so that you can make more art.
Yeah, but
Right.
also doing some good. I loved that. I loved that aspect of art being
Yeah,
able to, yeah.
exactly.
Should we
And it
open it
gets
up to
your art
questions?
out
We have so
there.
little time left because we
We
didn't.
hardly have any time.
Oh,
If anybody has a question, we may have time for one or two, because we're at 52 minutes already. See, I knew this would just go on, and Lisa, and we'd be able to chat forever. I don't know if anybody wants to pop in or drop a comment that we can read on how you're feeling, whether any of this
yeah, we've
resonates
had
with
some good
you.
comments go by. Some good
We
ones.
have, we have. I don't know if I can find them. I think as you grow, you keep tracking probably different people. Yes.
Mhm.
Lindsay's glad to know that we aren't loving marketing. So is this like misery loves company?
Okay, well,
We
this
all,
is interesting because our next guest is going to be the flip side of this, about setting goals for your business and being more entrepreneurial. So this is going to be an interesting kind of juxtaposition of discussions. Don't
Right.
you think? I'm actually,
Yeah.
absolutely.
that's going to be a
Absolutely.
Don't
cool,
want to sell? Don't bother. Want to sell? Listen to this.
yeah, and really think about that. You know,
But
don't.
that's the other thing is, though, I haven't started reading the book. I do have a copy of it. But it's about goals and goal setting.
Yeah.
So the goals don't have to be selling your work. The goals could be um, around other things that we want for our art practice, right? That we've
Right.
talked about, and that maybe we're keeping ourselves small in some way, the type of work we're making, or the size of work, or I recently applied for a studio space outside of my home, which I'm probably never going to get, because there's 35 people above me on the
Oh,
list, and for 11 spaces, and there's virtually no turnover. They told me you'll probably hear from us a year from now to ask if you want to still be on the wait list.
gosh.
But there are other goals besides sales that a lot of us might
Yes.
have, and that
Good
those
point.
ideas might be relevant
True.
too. So
True.
Good point. Good point. Good point. I'm gonna read with that through that lens, right? It's not
yeah,
all about monetizing what you're doing necessarily,
no,
right?
no, exactly. So, and look, we had a big goal of getting this to a year, and we've done this to a year. So there we go.
Did it?
I don't know how that happened. And our next goal is we've got to get our butts to California to really immerse ourselves in that. So maybe that's sort of the end game of all this, right? Like just building your art community, building your artist community, getting more of that into your world somehow.
Wait. What's in California that you need to immerse in other than Rob?
Okay.
Oh,
no.
Rob too. Oh,
Okay. Well, see, it's an agenda, behind the scenes agenda that we're pushing, and
yeah.
Bibby probably doesn't know we're pushing this yet because she's probably not watching. But Bibby Ginalot does workshops at her studio space, and
like
what we really want to do is convince her to have one in the middle of the Canadian winter, and then we'll go for a vacation for a week. And you're more than welcome to join us.
Come with us. And
Yes.
the other thing too is she works in this. I can never remember the name of this building.
The ICB building.
Okay, ICB.
I think it's ICB.
I don't know what it stands for, but anyways, it's full of artists, and so I picture us just popping into all the studios. Nick Wilton's out there. We'll just barge in and see what he's up to.
And we'll go surfing. We'll do something really brave. I've never gone surfing before. It's on my list.
Okay, surfing I would do. Not skydiving. Surfing, yes.
It's a cunning plan, says Sam. We're such schemers.
We are such schemers. Dreamers, I prefer.
We're dreamers. You know what? You got to put those ideas out there, because if you don't put them out there, they don't happen.
Yeah,
that's
so
right.
We've already said it 1,000 times, so now it has to, or we're going to look pretty foolish.
Or we're just going to show up.
We're just going to show up. Oh, listen, surfing is amazing.
Yay, we're here.
Hello.
Oh, well, it's been a great conversation.
Yes. Loved
Sam's
it.
telling me to go surfing.
Lovely.
Okay, I want to surf.
All right.
I want to surf.
Okay. I want pictures.
Well,
You got to come with us. You got to come with us.
I'm not surfing. I'd sooner skydive than surf. There's no sharks in the sky.
I would rather be eaten by a shark than make that out the plane. Not happening. Oh my God, I can't even talk about it. My palms are sweating.
Lisa, you can be on the shore with the camera.
Okay.
Yes,
Just to
you
prove
can
it.
video us.
Thanks so much, guys, for having me
thank
on.
you.
It's been
Thank you for
been a
coming.
pleasure.
Thanks, Douglas. Thanks, Sam. Thank you, everybody who was here. Maybe we need to head for, you can surf out from Vancouver. You can surf up here off the west coast of Vancouver. So you got to be able to surf somewhere down there in California. I don't know.
Like Ontario, I've seen people surfing. We get huge breakers coming in.
That might be just the level that we need to start.
Gentle.
Small
like
waves.
my whitewater rafting's going to be gentle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thanks again. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, rest of your day. I guess it's evening for you guys. Time to head out on the patio. So
no, it's
exactly
2:57.
Okay.
It's a little early, but a couple of hours, yeah.
All right.
Couple hours.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.
See you next week.